Well, as we look at the cottage vine garden, last year it was the climbing and trailing garden, and this year we've kind of changed the name because as we start to go through it, you can see why it's called the cottage garden. We've got that cottage, one of this, one of that theme, and right here is one of the very pretty vines. This is an Alamanda golden trumpet, and this is performing very well for us now that it's hot and humid. Right here in the front we have a couple of sages. We have our Salvia leucantha, or Mexican bush sage, that hasn't started blooming yet, and right next to it we have a Van Hoot salvia that has been blooming very well, and it has very nice purple blooms on it. Now, some of the vines that we have this year, some of them are a little more unusual, and I wanted to show you one right here that really looks neat. Now, this is called Winged Beauty. It's also known as the purple hanky plant and the Costa Rican butterfly plant. And you can see as you look why it's got that name. Now, these purple things that you see here, those aren't petals, those are actually bracts. And the flower is actually very inconspicuous. Now, this plant flowers most from in the late summer when it gets warmer, and unfortunately it's not winter hardy here. It's only hardy to zone 10. However, it does flower very well for us here in the later part of the season, and you can take it in and put it in the window, or if you have a sunroom, it would be a very good plant for that. Now, it can get by on less water. However, if you water it well, you'll get better results from that plant. Now, one of the other plants that we have here, and we actually have several of them planted in our garden, is the passion flower. And in the past, we've had very good results from passion flowers, and this season has been no different. Now, at the beginning, when we had a very cool, wet spring, the passion flowers kind of just sat there and didn't do a whole lot. However, once it's warmed up, they have really taken off. Now, this one is actually the blue passion flower. It's Passiflora caerulea. And you can see here we've got the sky blue corolla, and then we have the white petals around the back. And this is a very pretty, pretty passion flower. Now, it doesn't have quite as nice of a smell. However, it is hardy to zone 7, so it will probably come back from the root for us. Now, this one is very unusual. This is called Jeanette, and as you look at it, the very light purple or mauve petals are pretty, but you look closely and you can see that every other one has a white stripe down the middle. So this makes it really stand out in the garden, and it's a very pretty flower. Again, it doesn't smell quite so good. Now, it's only hardy to zone 10, so it's not going to overwinter, but we could take it into the house with us and then bring it out next spring. Now, one that we've grown for a long time here, this is the purple passion flower. And this one is incense. And again, it has the dark purple petals. The corolla is very unusual, and the really neat thing about this one is that the smell is just wonderful. It has a very nice soft perfume that just wafts across the garden. And the other thing about this plant is it is winter hardy here. It will come back from the root, and it tends to run. So unless you want this plant in a lot of places in your garden, you may want to put it in some kind of a container so that you don't end up with it all over your garden the next year.
We hope you've enjoyed this classic from the Oklahoma Gardening Vault. Remember, even though these tips and techniques are timeless, there's always something new to learn in the world of gardening. By subscribing to both Oklahoma Gardening and OK Gardening Classics, you'll have access to a wealth of gardening knowledge, both classic and contemporary.